Okay, welcome back and thank you for tuning into this video. So this one is about censorship and it tells the story of a song I wrote called Death to the IDF. Stick around to the end, there's some questions for you. Appreciate your thoughts in the comments. So this song was a response to what's been happening in Palestine. And so when the IDF's military campaign, the genocide in this phase kind of started in the end of 2023, I had a real kind of harsh internal response to that. I'm sure you all did, seeing the early stages, seeing the bombings and seeing the deaths, the civilian deaths that were very significant even at that stage, let alone what's come since. And around that time, I watched the Bob Dylan film. And yeah, so in that, we've got characters like Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger, so lots of singers for change. And I had a folk gig coming up quite shortly, like around in the new year. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to learn Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. So Hard Rain's Gonna Fall was written by Dylan around the time of the escalating potential of nuclear war. And it was a song about nuclear fallout. It was lots of horrors listed. Maybe you know the song. And it felt appropriate. And I wanted to dedicate it to the journalists of Gaza who have been allowing us to see the horrors that have been happening in Palestine. I started to learn the song and then I realised, actually, I want to rewrite this. I don't know how you've been feeling, but for me, I've been watching social media quite a lot, probably almost too much sometimes. But it just seems that day after day, there was just levels and levels of violence laid on top of each other and that were just horrific. And I was kind of being numbed out, but I wanted to resist that. And I wanted to list a few of those things that had happened and put them in that song. I've been finding for the last 2 years that you can't really appreciate, if that's the right word, or process one event because there's another one. And it's not just happening in Palestine. There's stuff in Syria, there's stuff in Iran. And yeah, so writing a song about that, honouring those journalists was something I wanted to do. And so that was, it's called So Hard to See It All. I'll link it in the video at the end. You can watch it. I'd love to know what you think about that. And then it went on and I've been following campaigns and I've been learning about Palestine. I knew a bit already, but I've had a huge learning journey of reading and, following social media and understanding historical contexts and so on. And then Glastonbury happened and Bob Dylan chanted Death to the IDF from the Westholt stage. I think they're two really intelligent lads and I really appreciate what they did there. It seems that this institution has been giving us death daily, and what they did, I think, was to call for the end of an institution, the dissolving of an institution in a language that they've been kind of dishing out daily, and that was responded to with criticism just made the whole thing seem so absurd. And I think they really made a crucial point with that. Within the next 2 days, I had that going around in my head and I turned that into a folk song. I love punk music and I did it in the past with an Idols track about immigration called Danny Nedelko, thanks to people like Tom Robinson who played that on the radio. And taking the message and putting it into folk music opens it up to another genre. And yeah, it's a genre I love. And so building that bridge is something I wanted to try and do here as well. The chorus came and similarly I listed lots of things that I'd seen on the news. A couple of weeks later, I followed the IDF on Instagram and a post came up that said there's no starvation in Gaza. This made me really sick to the stomach because of all the stuff I've been seeing. And you may know if you reshare something on Instagram, you can overlay it with music. So I chose my song that was up on Spotify and I laid it over the top. And the lines that were included were, those that survive, those that are bleeding, doctors alive on the news pleading for ceasefire and the aid to get through. Things I'd seen. Within 12 hours, that song had gone. And then within 24 hours, all my catalogue had gone from my distributor. It works in the music world. If you don't know, you upload to a distributor and they put everything out on the platforms. They got a complaint, I guess. Maybe it triggered an algorithm. they won't actually tell me why they've taken it down. In the context of things, it seems very clear to me why they took it down, and they're struggling to be able to make sense of that, I suppose, and they've decided to do that, and I'm now talking to another distributor instead. The song is still on Bandcamp, you can still hear it on there, and it's a live version here at the end of the video. I got friends in the industry who've told me that the point's been made, and while it's a good one, maybe it's worth rewriting that so that some of the lines can carry forward without that block of censorship, which will likely happen again and again. So it's unlikely that I'll put it up on streaming platforms, but maybe I'll keep it on Bandcamp because I think that's pretty independent and it can stay there. So I'll be working on that. If you heard the song, yeah, let me know what you think, and you can put the comments in below this video. So there we go. That is about censorship, and I'll leave you with these words by Woody Guthrie. He said that folk music is supposed to comfort the disturbed and to disturb the comfortable. So there we go. Support artists and buy direct and fund change. Thanks very much.